So we're in for a treat today, as every day. Our minister of the day, of course, is Reverend Robert Kunkle, and the minister of healing, who is assistant, is Kenneth Yotis. And our song leader is Glenn, Reverend Glenn, and our music man is Ed McMahon. So, well, I guess you just got a promotion. So, anyway, enjoy, because he really has a good service today.
Okay, we're going to start off with a hymn in the songbook, hymn 92, Morning Has Broken. He's going to... Okay, now we get together to sing the Lord's Prayer. We want to do
the invocation.
Okay, the invocation. I was thinking of a lot of different things. I really didn't know what I was going to do, but I finally decided on appropriately something called the Great Invocation, and it goes like this. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
Amen. Oh, everybody sit down.
Church read, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. And if you don't have somebody in the physical, God still loves you. All right? The spiritual reading today will be Luke chapter 10, verse 25 to 37, the Good Samaritan. Let me give you a little background here. The story of the Good Samaritan, when Jesus talks about that, you have to understand the times that there was a division between the Jewish population and their neighbors, the Samaritans. And this disagreement surrounded around a religious point. The Samaritans believed that the true place of worship was in Samaria on Mount Gerizim, and the Jews held that the temple at Jerusalem was the right place. The Jews disliked the Samaritans so much that they chose not to go near their town, or any of their towns. And even when they traveled to Galilee, they avoided the direct route through Samaria and took the longer, more arduous trip through the wilderness, through Jericho, and up the desert Rift Valley. This road from Jerusalem to Jericho was known as the Ascent of Blood, for here thieves and robbers often attacked the travelers. The parable of the Good Samaritan. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tested him, saying, Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? eternal life. He said to him, "What is written in the law? What is your reading of it?" So he answered and said to Jesus, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And he said to him, "You have answered rightly. Do this, and you will live." But he, wanting to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And Jesus, who is my neighbor?" Excuse me. Then Jesus answered and said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side." In other words, they actually avoided him and went on the other side of the street. "But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. And he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. And he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, 'Take care of him. Whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you.' So Jesus said, 'So which of these 3 do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves?' And he said, 'He who showed mercy on him.' Then Jesus said, 'Go and do likewise.'" And now we have another hymn, and it's hymn number 55. Wait a minute.
What a friend we have in Jesus.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you. I'm looking. Get your stop up 55. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about love today here. Okay, let's start out with, in the beginning, I want to go back into the beginning of the creation and the earth, and you get into the Edgar Casey material, and he talks about how there were souls on this earth. Actually, we were all angels in the beginning, so to speak. And we came down here to earth, and what happened was we could manipulate the life forces down here, and we basically eventually got stuck in them, and we couldn't get back out again. So this is where Adam kind of comes in, and Adam and God are talking, and Adam says, "I'll go down there, and I'll try to help bring these people back again into the oneness." Basically, they got caught in separateness is what happened, and they lost the oneness. So Adam comes down, and he also gets caught up in the creations down here. Now, what the spirit forces could do, which is you and I, is we could move in and out of the life forces here. We could, this is where all the myths of all the different unicorns and cyclopses and some of these other things, there's a little bit of truth to that myth. And that was the spirit forces getting into the life forces here and being able to manipulate it. And we all, basically, you and I, or we wouldn't be here right now, got stuck in this physical matter. And then in the end, the only way to get out of this was to die, and that was death. The only way to release the physicality of it was through death. Now, in the Old Testament, the main commandment was an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Well, that's bad karma, okay? In a way, if you hurt me and I hurt you back the same way, we keep a cycle going that we're attached to each other, and for the worst. Whatever you put out there and whatever your relationship is with another human being, if that doesn't come to love in the end, you guys are stuck together, and you might have to keep coming back here. And even sometimes too much love, but a self-centered kind of love where you love one individual that you have to come in and take care of them and do all that, that can also keep you attached to the earth where you have to come down and take care of that person. So it's really unconditional love is kind of what we're talking about here. And one of the other things in the Old Testament was, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins. And in the Jewish tradition, they would have to sacrifice a lamb, the firstborn lamb, to release them from their sins. And basically, sin is error in judgment. It's not a big thing. It's you messed up, okay, but it teaches you not to do it again. That's what we're really all here learning is, if this does, I go do this thing, if it doesn't work, I try it again, but I do it different. Casey talked about how our souls, like we would come in here, we would be in planetary energies of the planets in our solar system. Before we came here, we would pick that energy up. Just give you a quick example. If you came in as a Sagittarius, you would be in the energy of Jupiter because that rules Sagittarius before you came in here. So you would pick that type of energy up and you would come here to the earth to experience that, to have experiences dealing with that type of energy. Okay. So one of the traditions of the Old Testament was that there had to be a sacrifice. Now, you have the Old Testament, but in a way, that all changed with the birth of Jesus. And especially all changed with the cross here. And what the cross represents is that same sacrifice. It's a sacrifice where God, now, Casey said that Jesus is basically Adam, but that Adam worked through all these different lifetimes to grow spiritually enough to be able to be in this total oneness with God the Father. And that's why they call him the firstborn, because he was the first one to be able to do it. So Jesus, in a way, becomes the sacrificial lamb. Now, that creates grace. And what that means is that in the Old Testament, an eye for an eye meant that if I knock your eye out, I got to have my eye knocked out by you. Now, what Jesus says is, no, that doesn't have to take place. Because of his sacrifice, grace was there, where grace wasn't before. And grace is there, which means if I knocked your eye out, if I really ask your forgiveness and forgive myself for doing it, I do not have to have my eye knocked out by you. And that's really what grace is about. So Jesus has a really special point here. He's not Buddha, he's not Confucius, he was the sacrificial lamb, which makes him a lot different than all these other teachers are, because he bore on us our sins, which means he took our karma on, and it means that we might not have to go through that. So he holds a very special place. He's very, very important, and he's only one. And Jesus, here's the other thing too, is this cross has two beams in it. And there's a vertical beam which goes up and down. Now that's the connection between heaven and man. And that's God's love coming down to us from heaven. Okay, we also have the love that we have for each other. So the two intersect on the cross and on the crucifixion. And that's really what the whole crucifixion is all about. It's not carrying around a lot of pain. The other thing about this cross is Jesus isn't on it anymore. He's risen. Okay? And that means, because he was on the cross, we can get off of our crosses sometimes and stop being martyrs. Okay? And stop carrying around a lot of stuff. And as far as if something's been done and forgiveness is needed, or even if you need to forgive yourself, it's already been done by the cross. The forgiveness is already there. Usually the issue isn't whether God forgives you, it's whether or not we forgive ourselves. That's where the issues come in. Our worst enemy is ourselves. It's not anybody out there. And if we think it is, guess what? We're already judging. Okay? It's not what we see, it's the way our perception works. So, grace dissolves harmony, so to speak. It doesn't take you out of it, but it gives you a chance that you don't have to go through the exact same thing. That's really what this represents, the cross. So it represents what no greater love has a man than his life for another, and that's what this is about. Jesus was the sacrificial lamb, and he took it from the Old Testament into the New Testament. So, and not only that, he changed everything, because in a way it's really in the New Testament. And Jesus' thing in the New Testament was love one another, love God, and love your neighbor as yourself. That was his main message, and that's all he did. He taught people and he healed people, and they killed him for it. Okay? But it was all predestined. It's like you and I come here and we have a mission, and that was his mission. And his mission was, by his crucifixion, he raised all of us up to a higher level, to a higher spiritual level. For the possibility to be. Whether or not we want to take that, that's up to us. We're told,
You look good behind those flowers.
well, Jesus came among the people. I think I want to come down here. I work better when I walk back and forth. In Romans in the Bible, we are told, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And it's not what's out there, it's the way we perceive what's out there. Nobody's our enemy unless we perceive them to be our enemy. Now you're going to read out of this book here. This has to do with the mind. Whatever you accept into your mind has reality for you. It is your acceptance of it that makes it real. So it is that old saying that we do not see the world the way it is, we see the world the way we are. And that's in a Jewish book, the Talmud. Also, when you believe something, you have made it true for yourself. Like Shakespeare says, there is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So if it rains out there, it's going to be a rainy day. Whether it's a good day or not for you, that's entirely up to you. The point I want to get across here is that it's not what's happening out there, it's your perception. It's the way you take in what's happening out there. Nobody can hurt you unless you let them. Is your glass half full, or is it half empty? Is it a loving world, or is it a frightful world? How do you see the world? Because what you see and what you believe, that's what you're going to get. So here's another thing on thought. This is from a course in Miracles, by the way. You may believe that you are responsible, you may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think. Because it is only at this level that you can exercise choice. What you do comes from what you think. One more here. And this is the other point too here, is what you perceive in others, you are strengthening in yourself. And this is the other point, that everybody we come in contact with, they are our teachers. Now they're either going to make us happy, mad, or sad, or whatever. But it's us having those emotions. It's not the people doing it to us. It's we're taking actions, filtering through our system, and then coming up with a response to it. So they are our teachers. Perception can make whatever picture the mind desires to see. Remember this. In this life, either heaven or hell as you elect. And again, is the glass half full or is it half empty? Perception is a mirror, not a fact. In other words, what you perceive. And what I look for is my state of mind is reflected outward. So it's not what goes on, it's what you think is going on. And then you take that and you believe it, and then it becomes your reality. Our goal is, and according to where the Course in Miracles teaches, our goal should be peace of mind. That's what we're all searching for. But we're not going to have peace of mind if we walk around with a lot of garbage about what's going on out there. Because the more we dwell on what we don't want, the more we're going to get. That's why our thought should always be on what it is we want to happen and get it up. We are co-creators with God. He gave us this. And our thoughts and our feelings are what create our reality. And I know people have a hard time understanding that sometimes because, well, to be honest, they don't want to take the responsibility for it. Because it's easy to blame it on somebody else. It's my fault, it's their fault I feel this way. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. No, that's not really what it is. In reality, you've given them too much power over you. They have an action, you took it in, and you decided what that action means to you, whether it's loving or threatening. So it all comes, what's that saying? It's all about you, isn't it? Well, it is all about you. But in a positive way, I want to get across. So, this is part of loving ourselves. And if we're ever going to have peace of mind, we're going to have to do things like reflection and like meditation. If we don't do it, we're going to get caught up in what's out there, and we're just going to be swimming around just caught up. When you get on an expressway, how if they're going 90 miles an hour, next thing you know, you're going 90 miles an hour. It's the herd mentality type stuff. And about love here. Here's another thing from the Course in Miracles. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. So it's a matter of letting love in and not being afraid to be loved. Okay? And this is part of loving ourselves. I mean, we're told to love our neighbor as ourselves, and we can't really do that if we don't have a healthy love for ourselves. And I'm not talking egotistical, I'm talking a healthy, very good self-esteem type love for ourselves. Where I'm not out there looking to you to supply me, Okay. Getting and giving. If we think we need to get something from another, we will love that person when we get what we think we want. And we will hate that person when we do not. We frequently have love-hate relationships in which we find ourselves trading conditional love. The getting motivation leads to conflicts and distress and is associated only with linear time. Giving means extending one's love with no conditions, no expectations, and no boundaries. Peace of mind occurs. Therefore, when we put all our attention into giving and having no desire to get anything from or to change the other person. That's what this is here. This is unconditional love with the highest degree. Do you choose to experience peace of mind, or do you choose to experience conflict? Do you choose to experience love or fear? Every situation that comes into our life, we have a choice whether or not we want to see it with love or see it with fear. That's a choice. Do I choose to be a love finder or a fault finder? Do I choose to be a love giver or a love seeker? And then you ask yourself, is this communication, either verbal or nonverbal, loving to the other person, and is it loving to me? The other thing, when we forgive another human being, we forgive ourselves. And I think that most people really need to love themselves today. And I think we're in a mess. We just are. I mean, you really need to love yourself before you can really love another human being. Because if you're in the getting, you can't give. And if you're needy all the time, or you're seeking love from somebody else who needs this attention, you're not going to be able to give it. Okay? And it's all going to be coming to you, and you're just not going to be able to give it. So I think it's important for people to sit down and meditate and start getting in touch with some of their stuff that's keeping them from truly loving another human being. So we've got to do our homework, you know? It's the old saying, you know, when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to say, I should have spent more time at the office, right? I mean, you never know. You never know if this is your last day on this planet. And if you don't work on this stuff, you can work on it in another lifetime, I guess. That's up to you. But do you really want to come back here when out there is pure bliss and pure love and pure light and higher energies? Do you really want to come down here to earth and be in this dense matter and all the nonsense that goes on? You know, there's that part in the Bible too. Whatever we give to another, we give to ourselves. If a man wants your coat, give him your shirt also. And you know, what that teaches is, it teaches to release karma. You know, because otherwise you can be in a lawsuit with it. And then you get angry, then you're just caught up in that kind of... So it's better to dissolve it right here and right now. You get rid of it and it's over. Otherwise you stay attached. Let's talk about how this thing works. Let's say this angel here. I go move that angel and I bring it down here. Now that could get somebody here upset. Right? Now they'll come to me and I call it and say, why did you do that? You shouldn't do that. Now what they say to me, I have choices how I want to take that. I can get defensive and say, what are you talking about? You can't tell me how to do this. I'm allowed to do it any way I want. Now I've gotten into attack. I've gotten into by the way, in a roundabout way. You get angry at people to make them feel guilty. You get angry inside yourself because you're defensive. And fear is at the bottom of it. At the bottom of any kind of anger or jealousy or anything, we're just like little children. But we can't come out and say that. So we get angry and we feel we have to defend ourselves. The idea of this is not that you get that started, to stay in